Hello there. If you clicked on this video, you need a little help casting one of these, and this is a fly rod. And in this tutorial, we're gonna go step by step to help you cast this fly rod a little bit better than you are today. And be sure to stick with me through the video because I'm gonna give you some critical tips that I wish I would have learned long ago. I've been fly fishing for almost 40 years now, and it took me a few years to figure this out on my own because there wasn't the YouTubes back then. So lucky you to have YouTube and a guy like me that are posting videos to help you cast one of these fly rods. All right, let's go basics to start off, right? You want to be able to hold the fly rod properly. A lot of people go in with a suitcase handle. That is not how you want to hold the fly rod. You want to have your thumb up on the cork of the fly rod. That is important because it gives you leverage when you cast. I've seen some anglers put their forefinger on it. I prefer my thumb. It's just a lot more comfortable. Next, you want to pull out a full length of floating line beyond the tip of the fly rod. It's important to have a lot of fly line out in the beginning if you're going to even begin to start generating any type of momentum at all with the fly line. So be sure to pull out at least a full length of fly line beyond the tip of the rod. All right, so next you got to peel out some line, right? Let's go for a 20-foot cast. So in order to do that, you got to pull out roughly about 20 feet of fly line from your fly reel because you need to have a little line out to be able to shoot the line out when you start casting. All right, so I'm going to B-roll myself casting in this video and we'll just talk about it. So there are a few fundamentals that you have to concentrate on when you first get started with fly fishing. First is the grip, right? Pretty basic. Pull out enough fly line, pretty basic. But now here comes a little bit harder part. And this really helped me a ton when I started to do this myself when I first started to cast one of these things. So with the rod arc, right, you want to have no more than a 10-2 rod arc to start out with. Have that mental discipline when you first start out. Many fly casters, and when they first start out, that rod is going way too far back and way too far forward in the initial cast. And that really doesn't do a great job with transferring the energy that you want to build up into this fly rod into the fly line. So have that mental discipline, right? 10-2. You want to kind of keep that rod arc. As you begin to improve with your fly cast, that rod arc will almost go to 9-3 when you really start shooting out some fly line. But for now, let's start at the 10-2 rod arc. Next thing you want to do, and this is super critical, you have to wait for the line to fully extend out behind you and fully extend out in front of you before you move the rod again. So when I first started, I didn't wait long enough, right? I started to move it forward before the line was fully out behind you. It is so critical to make sure that that line extends all the way out. If you hear that whipping sound, that Indiana Jones whipping sound, that means you started forward too soon. The line didn't have a chance to fully extend out. So just when your brain thinks that it's ready to go forward again, just wait a half a second longer and let all that fly line extend out either behind you or in front of you before you move the rod again. Super important. And it's okay, watch your back cast, right? When you're casting, look behind you. Watch it go all the way out and then shoot it forward. The next thing you need to do during that cadence is a hard stop, right? When you're doing that 10-2, you want to come to a hard stop. You don't want it to be mushy, if that makes sense, right? You want to go back, wait for it, hard stop, forward, wait for it, hard stop, right? It's a hard stop, hard stop, hard stop, hard stop. And what's happening there is that hard stop transfers all that energy that the fly rod has built up into the fly line. You can see the big bend in the fly rod, right? That bend is from you casting and also from you waiting long enough for all that line to start pulling against the rod. And now you bring it forward, the rod's bending. It wants to transfer all that energy into the fly line. And how you do that is with a hard stop. So now at the very end, it's less of a hard stop. It's kind of stop and then bring it down to the surface of the water. Now the next thing you want to consider is try to draw a straight line in the sky with the tip of your fly rod. Your fly line will follow the tip of your fly rod. It's super important to draw a straight line, because if it's not, your fly line is going to follow that curve or that arc or that imperfection, and a lot of times the line will grab itself on the way by. It'll land in a heap in front of you because the fly caught the line on the way by. Try to keep a straight line path to the tip of your fly rod, and that actually will come in handy later on when you're trying to do reach casts and you're trying to improve your accuracy. That actually will help you in the future when you really start picking things up. Pro tip for you: see how the fly line's on this fly reel? A lot of times the fly line will remember that coiled up look of it sitting on a fly reel. So take a moment to stretch the line out. You're gonna have a much better experience if your fly line is not all curled up in a big mess. So stretch it out before you start. All right, so another tip, and this again is another important one. I want you to stop false casting so much. In fact, you can stop false casting altogether. Do what's called water loading. If you're just starting out, right? One of the toughest things for me to figure out in the beginning was doing all that false casting. I would tangle up so often, or just screw it up on the second or third false cast. Stop false casting. Just do what's called a water load, to where you pick it up, you wait for it to all extend out behind you with a hard stop, and then throw it forward. And then you pick it up again, hard stop, let all the line go out behind you, and then throw out a little bit more line. All the while, with your non-casting hands, you're keeping tension on the line. You're letting it slide through your fingers during the cast, but you're keeping any type of slack from building up into the fly line, because that'll kill a cast immediately, right? So your non-casting hand is just as important as your casting hand, because you need to manage your line and always keep in contact with your line when you're casting, and you're gonna have a lot better time with it. So stop false casting. Once you start feeling comfortable, and trust me, as soon as you start doing the water load, you're gonna go, oh my God, why did I keep false casting? Eventually, when you get the rhythm down, false cast once and then set it out. And then after a few more times out, false cast maybe twice. But you don't need to keep false casting back and forth unless you're just trying to dry your fly off. There's really no need to do a lot of false casting, and that really is the toughest thing for any fly fisher and what screws up the cast the quickest. All right, so there's two other things you need to know. Fly line makes a big difference. If you got a crappy fly line, right? If you bought a combo, a lot of times those combo setups, they've got the cheapest line that can go onto that reel. You could have just a really inexpensive reel, but have a good fly line, and you're gonna have a much better experience. I partnered up with Cortland recently. I'll leave a link down in the description on all the fly lines that I use, but it really does make a difference when you have a quality fly line over something that's crappy. Next is a fly rod. Part of the reason why I designed this particular fly rod myself is because I wanted to have a fly rod that was easier for the angler to cast. And when you have what this is called, it's a parabolic power taper. This thing has a very even transfer of energy from fly rod to fly line. It's very forgiving for any new fly caster, and it's forgiving for the veterans like me, because I don't have to put a lot of effort into this fly rod to shoot the line out 60, 70 feet. And you're gonna get there. I know you're gonna be at about 20 to 30 feet right now if you're watching this video, but eventually you're gonna wanna be able to get some distance, and having good fly line and a fly rod that's a medium fast action, very forgiving fly rod, has a great transfer of energy. It really does make a big difference when you can upgrade into a better designed fly rod like this fly rod I have here. This is a 5-weight. It's the FFD5 9-foot. It just really is a easier casting fly rod. All right, well, I hope that helps you the next time you're out there fly casting. And hey, if you want to just watch a video, a really cool video of me fly fishing in the middle of nowhere on this amazing, incredible creek, check out this video right here. I think you might enjoy it. All right, everybody, until the next time, fish on.